we at? 18? You say 18, episode 18. Marie March, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to get you back in here. And not sure if you've been paying attention, but we're kind of veering into like more of a recurring guest model. Like, you know, we want some compelling stories, but we're just kind of venturing away from just like the everyday business. Like we're starving for attention over here. So we're trying to like help people understand important people, and like, you know, newly elected official here for the 7th district.
7th district.
Yeah. So congratulations on the win.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Tell us about it. How you feeling right now?
My goodness, it has been wild. Every day, hundreds of people are still reaching out. They want to tell me their problems. You know, some of the problems I can help with. Some of the problems, you know, are not in the scope of, you know, political world. But, you know, there are a lot of issues across the district. And, you know, anywhere from, you know, restoring our gun rights, there's election integrity issues. There's just so many things, you know. Under the Democrat control the last definitely 2 years, you know, just so many of our rights got stripped.
Yeah.
So I'm on a mission to push Republicans to restore those rights. The Republican Party in Richmond and people who have been elected, the caucus, you know, they want to play it very moderate because they want to continue to win the next few years of elections across the whole state,
right,
whether it's local or, you know, Morgan Griffith's seat or, you know, no matter what, they want all Republicans to win. So they want to be very cautious. I have a different viewpoint. You know, I feel like the voters put us here to get something accomplished. That's the reason there was a red wave, and we need to fulfill those campaign promises.
Yep. So I think it's one of those things, you know, when you get the lead and you start trying to protect the lead is when you get smashed.
I agree.
You know, and I think that the old practices and the fear of losing will cause you to lose. You know, you got to play to win all the time. You got to play to, you know, get things done that the people put you in power to get done, and not try to play this blocking game.
And they like to feather their nest too.
Yeah.
You know, the more they can feather it and make it more comfortable and have more friends, and, you know, I'm not like that. And I think they don't know what to do with me because I don't care if I'm in 1 term or 10 terms.
Yeah.
I'm there to do a job for the voters, for the little guy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if that results in, you know, and redistricting is going on right now. So I think in the next week and a half to 2 weeks, we may have all new districts. Of course, no matter what, I'm going to have Floyd County because that's where I live.
Yeah.
But that may end up extending into Carroll County. I may lose Montgomery County. I may keep the exact same district. There's been 4 maps proposed, and the Democrats and Republicans could never reach consensus. So they all walked away from meetings, and it ended up in the hands of the Supreme Court of Virginia. So we're going to have the courts are going to end up drawing the maps. So we may possibly know something, you know, very soon.
How does the court lean?
It's Republican.
Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, the problem with that, I'm not an establishment candidate.
Yeah.
So people that have been in the system, you know, whether it's bureaucrats, whether it's judges, people that have worked their way through the system, they tend to go establishment because they're in the system and they've, you know, in some ways they kind of have to keep their jobs. Well, in this district, that could be a big issue because chances are I may end up getting pitted against maybe Ren Williams, who is also not establishment. He's very to the right. So they would love nothing more than to put us, you know, in a bag together and shake it up and have the cat fight. So that may be how this plays out. He's in Patrick County, and they may redistrict Floyd, Patrick, Franklin, maybe Carroll. So, you know, and they would like that because you get rid of 2 anti-establishment and you only have one of them left to cause you headache.
So you'd have to primary that out. You know, you'd have to go through the whole.
And there's a chance we may be running this coming year. So there's a chance we may come out of session on March 15th and be in a firehouse primary for that month, which means we can only raise money between now and like January, I think it's 15th. You're not allowed to raise money during session. So whatever you have in the bank, may be what you end up coming out of session. You know, it could be crazy. I don't know. But I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
I mean,
you can't worry about anything until it's in front of you.
And being a business owner, I just roll with the punches all the time. Yeah. So every day is a new challenge, and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't intimidate me at all.
You know, if we were gunslingers back in the West, we'd be the ones that's shooting from the hip. You know, as far as business owners today, that's how
it.
I've always said I'm a professional shoot from the hip. You know, like I would love to be able to take my time and get up and aim right, you know, but that's just not, you know, what I'm able to do. I got to just make quick moves.
It's true.
Yeah.
And people, you know, the more I'm doing this, I feel more sorry for the small businesses.
Yeah.
So we just got state benefits. That comes in with this job. I get state benefits beginning sometime in January.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we've been paying $2,200 a month for insurance, vision, dental, and our deductible was still like $6,000 or $8,000. State benefits, $400 a month for everything with like no deductible.
Wow.
And so, you know, I kind of turned that around. I was meeting with the school board last week, and they were complaining that the teachers only make $42,000 a year, and they only get these state benefits, and they only get a pension, and they only get this and that. And I'm like, brother, you all are talking to the wrong person in this room right now, because being a small business owner, we have nothing. We don't have benefits.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have anything. Yeah. Our staff has nothing, you know, and there's nobody that's going to bail us out. So I'm being quiet in a lot of these meetings because they don't even want to hear the thoughts going through my head, because it's not that they need more money and they need more of this and they need more of that. You know, I feel like government needs a wake-up call for what the real world experiences.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the private sector is getting fleeced.
We are.
I mean, we are getting ripped off hugely.
We are.
I mean, it's devastating.
And hammered with taxes.
Yeah.
You know, my bank accounts, we're buying a property right now, and I called my accountant. I'm like, where'd all the money go? Like last week there was all this money, and now there's not. She's like, property taxes, Marie. They came due on December 5th.
Yeah.
She's like, your accounts are gone. And I'm like,
right.
Where am I going to get my closing money for these?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. The roller coaster we go on, I mean, it's, you know, $100,000 a month in May, but in December it's like $5,000, and it's a $5,000 month. And like, where did all that money go?
We were sitting on these piles of money, and literally property tax just like wiped it out. I'm like, I mean, it's infuriating.
But isn't something something inside me, when the money gets low and I start to see it, it puts me back in action, and then I just go produce again.
Yeah.
That's just like, I almost need that section of time to get hungry to keep going.
It's time to get with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely start paying closer attention to numbers and what's going on at the businesses, and you know, and
I don't want to have to dip into my investment accounts. Like, I don't want to liquidate any of that stuff.
Well, Jared reminded me, I was panicking over money, and he's like, I mean, Marie, if we had to sell off those 401ks, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot we had those. You know, like, because I don't even consider that we're going to ever touch that.
Yeah.
But it is nice to know. But you get hit with what, 25%?
Yeah.
You know, capital gains, I guess.
Yeah.
So, we've never had to do that yet, but you never know.
That's fortunate. And that's a good little backup plan B.
I had forgotten about it. You know, to me, it doesn't even exist, but.
Right. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, being a business owner, one of the school board members, he said, I feel like everybody should have, he was a high school teacher. And he said, I feel like everyone should have had to have been a teacher to understand. And I said, sir, I feel like everybody should have to be a small business owner to understand.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my life experience. I think I think I'm the victim.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the victim.
Right.
But
no one's getting treated fairly over here,
that's
right?
the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and there's this, it's the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
And I'm really seeing that. Oh, my goodness. Even going to Richmond, you know, the bureaucracy, it's big. It's It caters to the elites that are the elected people that are in power, and it's real eye-opening, and I don't think your typical citizen really understands it and sees how it works. So I don't know. Is the system completely broken? Is it repairable? I don't know. I mean, I'll know that more.
I'm interested in 3 months on after you've, tried to get some of your influence in that machine and how you've been,
It's all seniority too.
I'm interested in seeing how they embrace you, or if they kind of try to keep you in a little stiff arm, just close enough, but not not close, just kind of at arm's length. I'm interested to see your perspective on things and the work that you're able to do. Tell us what
some of the bills.
Yeah, tell us what you're going to be working on and what you're passionate about, what you're trying to get the leadership to get through.
We've been busy. So you pre-file bills. We had up until November 29th. So we had a 2-week period, and you can pre-file as many bills as you want. And what that means is anything that you've heard from your constituents, you just start sending it to a group called Legislative Services. And that's a little, I don't want to call it an agency, but a little wing and they're a group of lawyers, and they write your bills for you. So we haven't gotten any of these bills back. They're all in draft right now. They've been submitted. After your pre-file date of November 29th through, I think, the first day of session, which is it January 12th or 15th? I'm not sure. One of those days. You can only submit 5 more bills. So that's why it was a mad dash to put in as many bills as we could.
Gotcha.
For those 2 weeks. So some of these bills are kind of softballs, to excite people here in the district. And that's the first one that we put in, and it was something that Nick Rush actually carried before me, and it was to allow the municipalities and the schools to put "In God We Trust" and a flag decal on the sides of school buses. So it actually, and you have to look for things too that you think you could stand possibly a chance of getting them through committee, because they've got to go into their committee, and then they have to emerge from committee to get voted on. And that's how they squash things in your own party, is they send it to committee and they squash it in committee. So it never
reaches the floor.
Yeah. So this one, I'm like, who's going to vote against the flag? And if you're going to vote against the flag, you're going to look bad.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and put this one in there. It reached I believe it was a tie vote when Nick carried it. So now that we have the House, we should be able to get it out of the House. So it'll allow, and that came to us from Gene Bishop, who's a school board member in Floyd County. He's like, we want to put flags on the decals on the sides of school buses. So he told me about it. He proposed it several years ago, never went anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. So that's a softball bill, but it's a neat one. And it'll help to teach kids patriotism.
Right.
The more we can teach that, the better.
And it'll kind of help people identify the non-patriots if they vote against it.
Exactly.
So, how can you vote against that? If you love America, if you love, the freedom that represents, that's going to just kind of, expose them a little bit.
And we really do want to expose. If there's communists in the House of Delegates, let's figure out who they are.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a great bill. I think it's wonderful. Floyd County's going to love it. Montgomery County's going to love it. Yeah. So, and I've got another one that's a bit of a softball bill, but it's a good one. I had a volunteer fireman reach out to me, I believe from Floyd County, and he said, Marie, we're having such a hard time recruiting volunteer firemen. People who are working really hard, and then there's all these other people that aren't doing anything and they're just getting free money, but they're having a hard time recruiting and keeping volunteers. So he said in North Carolina, they do a free lifetime hunting and fishing license to emergency personnel. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. I don't think.
No.
I mean, shouldn't cause any issues at all. So I put that one on there. I'm like, why don't we mimic the North Carolina bill? I I think we're going to try to do it with 3 consecutive years of service, only because you don't want somebody to sign up and just to get the
For
lifetime.
6 months, be there 6 months and leave.
Exactly.
Does it expire at their time of leaving, or like
it's lifetime?
So you can't go for a month and get a lifetime pass and then quit.
And we learned that in the restaurant business. People come for a day, get a free T-shirt, and then they quit the next day. And we've given out like 400 Due South shirts. So you have to kind of hold that a little bit.
Yeah.
So we put that one in. In Floyd County, there's a lot of homeschoolers. Mm-hmm. And with what's going on in the school systems right now, there's a lot of people bailing on public school.
Yeah.
You're well aware of what's been going on in Loudoun County, all over.
Yeah.
So the Tim Tebow bill I'm carrying, and there may be someone else carrying this. I don't know who will end up carrying it. But that's the one that allows the homeschool kids, the private school kids, to play public school sports.
Nice.
So my thought with that, if we do a true voucher program, true voucher, where the money follows the child, this could be a way for those public schools to recoup some percentage of that tax money to pay for their facilities.
Yep.
So maybe we can get both of these things passed, school voucher, Tim Tebow bill, and that way homeschool kids can still play football. And that's another problem. Both of my sons played football. These football teams have hardly any kids on them anymore. They can't hardly make a team. They're having to bring the JV to play varsity because they don't have enough kids. So if we have the homeschool kids, the private school kids, if everybody still is allowed to come play these team sports, this is a good time to do it because it would be enticing to the public schools to keep some percentage of money for their facilities.
I mean, when revenue is on the docket, people change their minds pretty quick.
That's right. So now's the time to propose this. So I'm trying to get into everybody's ear about this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
And that way, too, your homeschool kids get to interact with your public school kids.
There's a socialization.
Yeah.
That the private homeschool kids probably don't get to experience. I think that's from what I've heard and understood is they don't know how to interact. Like those kids lack the social skills at the public schools, but they're far more educated because they're getting more attention and not as many kids.
This solves that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it introduces these kids to all the kids in the community. So, I've been put out with the public schools, and I've thought about, pulling my 14-year-old out of school, and he's like, Mama, I'll never find a girl to date. So
hey,
that's his argument.
Just tell him that high school is not important when it comes to love. That is the worst place to try to find a girlfriend.
I would say that,
in high school.
Except my older son met his wife, and they got married.
He beat the odds.
He beat the odds. Yeah, you're right. But that's his argument for why he has to stay in public school.
The women, Mom, the women.
And that's all they think about at 14 and 15.
Right.
I took a group of those boys to some haunted houses, and I was just like, you all are just like testosterone. Like, I can't even. It's so bad.
Right. That's wild.
But so that's a bill that I think now is a critical time to lump it in.
Yeah.
Red flag gun confiscation, the red flag laws.
Yeah.
Those came into effect during the Dems. We've got to undo that and repeal that. We have a very strong bill that has been proposed by Virginia Constitutional Conservatives that we submitted for. I think it's called. I don't have it in front of me, but it's just called. Did he call it a Bill of Rights? I'm not sure. A Virginia Bill of Rights bill. I'm not exactly sure what the name is, but we've submitted it. Hasn't come back from draft yet, but we are going to repeal, and that'll. I'm going to dig in and carry that bill.
Yeah.
Even if they tell me that it's not going to make it through committee, whatever they do, I'm going to dig in on that one. That's one, and you understand red flag laws. Like you can basically, it gives the courts.
I'm afraid of her. Take your guns. Oh,
she's crazy.
Yeah.
He's crazy. Let's go take their guns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like thought crime.
Right.
We can't have that in America.
He said this. That means he will do that. Mm-hmm. That type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, experiencing what we've experienced, with Chris Hurst coming against our businesses and someone came and cut our flag down from Fatbacks, people jump to conclusions. I mean, they called me an insurrectionist.
Yeah.
I was never at the Capitol.
Right.
You know, so they defame, they drum up their own little scenario. You know, all of us with red flag laws, all of us could be, you know, carted off to jail.
Yep.
So we've got to stop that. It is an infringement on our Second Amendment. It's infringement of Fourth with due process. It's infringement of everything.
Yeah.
It's anti-America.
Do you think Virginia could go?
Constitutional carry.
Yeah.
We're carrying that too. We submitted
Nice.
for that too. 21 other states have already become constitutional carry states. We're hoping Virginia will join that. I am being kind of called down, though, I will say, by leadership because I've jumped on gun bills. I'm like, give me all the gun bills. I'll carry them. My district, you know, well, my husband is probably the biggest Second Amendment guy that you've ever met. Mm-hmm. I am too. But my district, this is what they want. You know, we went to 2 of the sanctuary meetings for Montgomery County and Floyd County, thousands of people at those meetings. Yep. So this is a big deal to the constituents. And I'm in a solid red enough district, you know, it's not going to hurt me one bit to carry them.
Yeah.
So when we were going over bills that needed to be carried, it was like crickets. People are like, well, you know, I don't know. And I'm like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Yeah. So I'm happy to carry. But I think those might be the only 2 gun. No. I'm also going to be carrying the full repeal of HB 2295.
Tell us about that.
Which is the bill that the Dems did away with allowing people to carry on Capitol Square. So you remember several years ago when Lobby Day, huge Lobby Day, I think they had 20,000 people that went up there. Yep. Everyone was carrying guns. And shortly thereafter, I guess that was the same session that they did away with people's rights to carry. So for 200 years, we've been allowed to carry on the Capitol grounds, and then the Dems did away with that. So that repeals that bill. And I'm particularly upset about that bill. We just bought a condo in Richmond. It's down on the river. Do you know the layout of Richmond?
I don't.
Okay. The Capitol is a little bit uphill, and you kind of go downhill. And we bought a condo. You know, it's like 0.4 of a mile, so I can walk.
Yep.
So I had to go up there for a speech at the Bell Tower on Capitol Square. And it was one morning, and Jared was here at work, so I was up in Richmond by myself. And I'm in the parking garage, and I'm getting ready to go catch an Uber. I didn't want to walk that day. But in the parking garage is this weird dude doing weird things. He looked aggressive. He's running around. He's talking to himself. He's like circling my vehicle. And I'm like, I have to disarm right now because I'm not allowed to carry where I'm going. So I'm furious about it. I'm literally like fuming in my vehicle because I carry pretty much everywhere I go. Yeah. You know, we have rental properties. We have a boarding house. We work with people that come out of incarceration. You know, we carry. So that morning I texted on my way. I was livid, but I was so angry. I think the guy even knew not to mess with me. Like I got out of my vehicle and he kind of like wandered away. And then I fired off a text to the majority leader, which is the guy that makes all the rules. His name's Todd Gilbert. Yeah. He makes all the rules. And I said, I am furious. I said, I can't carry my gun today. This is ridiculous. I'm going to get victimized. I'm a female. I'm all alone in Richmond. Richmond is a dangerous place. And he was like, I'm sorry, Murray. He's like, why don't you carry that bill? And I'm like, oh, by God, I'm going to. Right. So that made its way onto this. And that, I mean, it's very personal. Yeah. And I think it would be good for a female to carry that bill because I was talking to some of the Democrat legislators and they're in the same boat, you know? I mean, they can't carry, and they've all been through the primaries and the election. There's crazy people. So we have to be able to protect our rights and have our rights and restore our rights. So I think, you know, maybe I am idealistic, but I think even some of the Democrats, you know, some of the Democrats are not against gun rights. Yeah. So we've just got to get them back. And with this redistricting, some of them are going to lose their safe Democrat districts. So now's the time to possibly get them to get on the right team.
When will those lines be in effect?
They'll be in effect. We don't know the answer to that. So we think we may know something in a week and a half to 2 weeks. Who knows? It could drag out through the whole session in March. but they will be as soon as they announce them, they'll be in effect. And then it may go to court to find out if we have to run next year. There's kind of two beliefs on that. You know, we were elected to serve a 2-year term.
Yeah.
That's what the voters expect. But then there's also been some court cases that have found that I don't even know. We could be running like 3 elections in a row, year to year to year.
Wow.
Who knows?
That's wild. So you've won this one. You'll have to win the one at the firehouse.
Yep.
And then you'll have to win
the following year
after the 2-year term.
You got it.
Wow.
We'll be running 3 years in a row.
Wow.
So we picked up all of our signs. We tucked them away to reuse our signs, you know, because we have no money.
Right.
I mean, we pumped what we could into the primary, but we're you know, it's just such a money racket. It's so expensive. But so yeah, those are my gun bills. There's some you'll like this one. So protecting landlords from rent moratoriums. I submitted for that.
Yeah.
I have so many friends that impacted. You know, they had, you know, units sitting there. People just decided they're not going to pay their rent because they don't have to. And the biggest problem is you have to chase down that person for them to fill out the paperwork if you're going to get any
Government
CARES
assistance,
money. Yes,
right.
government assistance. So in our case, we had a rental property that, you know, the guy just, he didn't even like my politics. He was furious, you know, that I am a Republican. So he just tried to bleed us out through that whole thing. And of course we couldn't chase him down. He's not going to lift a finger to try to get us compensated. But meanwhile, we have a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So that was totally unfair to the landlords. You know, we all still had to keep paying our bills while the rest of the world didn't have to pay theirs.
The CDC should not run this country.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Unelected bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And they're running the show in so many ways.
It's so much power that they've grabbed.
We've let it happen.
Let it happen. Just laid down and took it.
And largely, I mean, I still fault politicians for that. I feel like, you know, some of these mandates, all these different things.
You think Glenn Youngkin's going to make a difference in that regard in Virginia?
I hope so.
Yeah.
You know?
We need him to.
We really do.
We need freedom.
We need freedom.
Yeah.
I hope. I have high hopes.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, I'm here to push him.
No doubt.
So that's my whole job.
Yes.
You know, that's how I see my job.
Yes.
I'm also submitting for stopping school mask mandates.
Yes.
Which is the DeSantis Parents' Bill of Rights. Yep. We've submitted for that.
That Florida model is how everybody should be modeling.
We're all in. We love DeSantis.
Yeah.
So I think most everyone in this district loves DeSantis. Yeah. We're putting in a halt for vaccine mandates on businesses as well. And that's also another personal thing. I don't know if you know this, but Jared, my husband, just got fired 2 weeks ago from HCA.
Oh, wow.
48 hours after putting in his religious exemption for the shot.
Wow.
So he came home from work at 5 o'clock. He said, I just got fired. And I'm like, okay, so let's open your own private practice. Let's look at buildings tomorrow. So we knew of a building in Floyd that would have lended itself to make a great office, and we bought it like immediately.
Nice.
We've got people painting it right now. And, you know, my friend John Wilburn said, you know, Marie, patriots need a doctor too. Yep. So we've gone, and John also said, whoa, he said, you all went down with the ship. I said, yeah, that's what we do.
Right.
So, you know, Jared has seen what people don't realize in healthcare. You know, he has seen bad outcomes with this shot.
Yeah.
There's nurses that have gotten Bell's palsy.
Yep. I've seen some Bell's palsy.
Mm-hmm. There's myocarditis. There's young people that suddenly they get the shot, their heart rate speeds up to 195 beats a minute, their heart becomes inflamed. We've seen I shouldn't discuss a lot of it, but he's seen a lot.
I mean, with 10 variants out and booster shots, and it's just it looks like it's a never ending thing that we're about to go through. They're going to keep putting you into fear. Oh, well, I went ahead and had the first couple doses. I might as well go ahead and if I'm going to do that, I might as well do that, right? And
it's Russian roulette.
Yeah.
So most people are fine. They get the shot, they're fine. But then you've got a percentage, and I don't know what that percentage is, and I'm not sure they're even documenting it because they don't want people to know. I don't know that they're following it. Yeah. But we know enough people that have had – my father got the shot. His lips turned blue. for the next 3 or 4 months. He had to get the shot because he was still in the military, and he ended up quitting the military to not have to get the second shot because the first shot made him so sick.
Wow.
His lips turned blue because his blood was not oxygenating.
Wow.
So our family became very fearful, and my mother hasn't taken the shot, but we all had COVID. We've all been through COVID. We had it.
Yep.
It was awful. We were miserable.
Yep.
We were very sick, but we've been around people with COVID since, and we haven't gotten it again because we have antibodies.
Yep.
So this natural immunity,
COVID recovered is way better than vaccinated.
it is. And no one, people, they're not recognizing that.
Yep.
The healthcare community is not recognizing it, and they're shaming any doctors who do.
Yep.
And that's not microbiology. Anyone that's had microbiology, natural immunity that is acquired, and you go through a harsh form of the disease, and you're going to be, you've got your antibodies.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yep.
So that's why I'm carrying that bill, is we've got, there's people reaching out across my whole district, Ms. March, what are we going to do? We're about to lose our jobs. This is sickening.
Yeah.
It is sickening that employers would even allow that to happen.
Yep. And Virginia Tech is a big I don't know what the word is, but they have forced all of their people, all of the students, all of the athletes. I mean, these athletes that they've mandated to take vaccinations, they're some of the most healthy, capable people to survive this of them all, and they're making all of the athletes do it. That's I know of a couple football players that had real issues with that. Because if they decided to quit playing football because of it, then they're going to lose the opportunity to make it to the next level.
Their lifetime.
Yeah,
it ruins.
And they've worked so hard to get to that level that now they're just going to be taken down, so to speak. Like, they are going to be forced into doing something they don't necessarily want to do that could impact even just having children. They're saying being able to create. They're sterilizing people. Pretty much is some of the thought process of it all too.
And see, my husband, he was a real thorn to this whole system. He was writing medical exemptions, because people have, they already have heart issues, arrhythmias, different things. Yep. So he wasn't
towing the line.
He wasn't towing the line.
Yeah.
At one point, he was writing for ivermectin.
Yeah.
Until he got a nastygram from HCA that if we catch you again writing ivermectin. So Jared, and not only that, during my political, campaign, people were spray painting his parking lot. I think 4 different times they spray painted LGBTQ across his parking lot. So people were having to come out and clean that up like every other day. So they're getting vandalized. He's not towing the line. He's acting independently. And they finally just fired him. That the religious exemption, we believe, was the icing on the cake for them. And They just decided, this guy's a troublemaker, and we're not keeping him around.
ACH?
HCA, which is Lewis Gale.
HCA, if you want to reply to that, if you want to speak on that, we'll take a phone call. We'll take a response in writing or email if you want to contact us. If you happen to stumble across this video,
we're actually working with attorneys too.
Yeah.
We plan to sue, so it's. I'll update you on how that goes, as well. He wasn't treated. We have rights. As Americans.
Yeah.
So, and I'm on the warpath for that as well.
Right on.
But we've got a lot of. And there's some other little things that we're carrying. Oh, when it comes to small businesses, whistleblowers. So in my campaign, I have a lot of whistleblowers that got behind me. They're whistleblowers that go after local government.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Whether it's Christiansburg, I ended up meeting whistleblowers in Pulaski, and I've met whistleblowers in Floyd, and they're my people because they're holding people accountable, holding government accountable. I want to see a total revamp of FOIA. So right now, FOIA can be used by bureaucracy. They can just, if you request that you want something for the last 2 years to find out correspondences between 2 different elected officials, they can run it and then tell you, one of the girls that I know, she got, I believe they told her it was going to be $27,000 for her FOIA request.
Wow.
So she couldn't get it. Who can afford that?
Yeah.
I've got another friend of mine in Floyd. people send me these emails. They're like, Marie, I'm trying to do this FOIA. They're charging me $537. They're charging me $1,200, $800. The public doesn't have that kind of money just to showcase transparency and to be able to see what our electeds are doing. So my thought with FOIA, we already have .gov email addresses. Why are we not dumping these into a database that's a public-facing, searchable database that people can search at any given time?
Yeah.
So I want to see the whole thing revamped to where it's not an administrator over in your local municipality that's having to search through all this stuff. We need to get with the technology and get with the times and do a front-facing, public, searchable database that doesn't cost anybody anything. And I don't think it would be that difficult. I mean, I'm not real technologically savvy, but I know there's software companies and there's database companies that can probably do this.
Yeah.
So I've even talked to some of the Democrats because, believe it or not, some of the Democrats believe in FOIA. But they believe in, minorities getting to get free FOIAs. They believe in different aspects of FOIA.
Yeah.
I want to get us all on the same page where we can, if it costs the state some money to do it, I think the savings in the long run is going to be astronomical because it's costing, the bureaucracy their time and energy. They're having to round up all the FOIAs, do the searches, and then they have to go through and redact anything that's personal. There's like 150 different exemptions in FOIA that they have to redact. So my thought is, everybody that uses a .gov address, you train them on what's redacted. When they have redacted information, you send that to a different place versus the usual searchable database. Mm-hmm. So there's a way. They're already training us in how to use FOIA anyway.
Right.
So that's a big one. And I don't know if I can get it to go anywhere. I've told a couple delegates, and one guy said, Marie, you're going to get laughed out of your committee if you bring that up. He's like, what you're proposing is monumental. And I'm like, we've got to do it. This system is broken.
Yeah, it's weird that they're charging different amounts for different people too. Do they just throw a dart at the board and say, all right, $1,000, boom.
And they try to make it as complicated as possible so they don't have to do it. So if they tell you $27,000, that means they don't have to fool with it because they know you're never going to come up with that. So it's a tool that's wars being waged from government versus citizens. And we've got to get to where the citizens, this has got to be open, transparent government.
Doesn't feel like we the people right now.
No, it doesn't.
Feels like government versus the people.
And I tell you, I mean, even going into Richmond and looking at those buildings and looking all around, nobody wants for anything up there, Well,
don't let the glitz and the glam blind you. Keep that fire.
It makes me angry more than anything. I sit there and I'm like,
so
what are they eating for lunch?
That costs money.
It does. It makes me mad. It all just, and I think it's that small business mentality.
Right.
We've had to scrape and claw and pinch pennies and so many stressful nights of not having enough money to do what we want to do. And then I get my state benefits and I'm like, $400 like for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and they don't even realize, like when you're in the system, you don't even realize what the outside world is having to deal with.
Yeah.
So I've got to bring that. That's my whole goal, is to just hammer that down every chance I get to get them to understand what the real world is dealing with.
Right.
And I may be mean about it, whatever it takes.
To get the word across, they'll make an impact. Sometimes you got to hurt a feeling.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Sales and meals tax compensation for credit card fees. I think I told you guys about that.
Yeah.
Right now, when we round up sales tax for merchants, we are paying the credit card fees to the credit card company, and government's not compensating us for that amount of money. So we're going to do a tax credit for that amount of money. I submitted for a time study on every single state agency mandated form. So whether it's in the real estate market, whether it's in the restaurant industry, whatever the industry is, whatever VEC forms, DEQ forms, whatever's mandated by the state, we're doing a time study this year, and then next year we're going to assign a fee that they're going to have to compensate everybody for filling out those forms. and it's probably going to be whatever minimum wage is.
Right.
You know, so it's got to at least be what they're charging us to pay people.
Right.
So, you know,
That's interesting.
We've got to start. We're not getting compensated for our time.
Right.
You know, we're doing all this administration for the government, and they're forcing it. They're just like, well, you know, you shall do this for us. And, you know, I have 10 different businesses. We have to pay an accountant all day, every day to be submitting all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to do it on my own, I wouldn't own 10 businesses.
Right.
So we're paying probably an entire salaried human being just to keep up with all the forms and the mandates.
That's wild.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So
what are some key dates for you? What are, like, you're doing all this stuff? When is session? Like you've already been sworn in and everything, right? Like
Not yet.
Okay, so when is that? That's a key date for you, right?
I think it's the 12th. It's either the 12th or the 15th. I'll have to look. Let me see if I can find it somewhere.
You're pretty much the same day as Youngkin gets sworn in, right? Is everything happening at the same time, or how does that work?
Yep, swearing in is the 12th.
Okay.
I think that's the same. I don't have it printed out in front of me. I'm not sure if it's the same day. So you're only allowed 3 tickets to your swearing in. So I've got my parents, I've got my husband, and I've got 2 kids, and one of my kids is married. I can't even bring my immediate family to my swearing in.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But what they do give you is they give you a date where you can do a ceremonial swearing in, and you can have up to 300 people. So we're announcing that on Facebook today, and that's on January 22nd at 11 a.m. And I think we're getting a room maybe in the Capitol or maybe in the Pocahontas building to host like a big event afterwards and just have a party. And I think there'll be lobbyists having events and different things are going on. So we'll probably have all kinds of stuff for people to get into if they want to come up there.
Right.
But yeah, the inauguration of the governor, I don't even know what date that is, but yeah, we have to be there for that. Just me. I'm not even sure if they're going to let my husband attend it. We don't even know. We don't know details.
Right.
I don't have an office yet. I don't have a phone number yet.
Right.
I don't have my email address yet.
So you got the 12th of January. Mm-hmm. Then you got all these bills you were talking about that are being drafted.
And so those have to be submitted.
So are you still working in conjunction with Nick? Or no? So you've this is all you now. There's no more business for him to handle.
Mm-mm.
Gotcha.
He hopped on with the Jason Ballard campaign.
Yeah.
And did you see my skirmish with the Montgomery County GOP?
No, I did not.
So I ended up in the newspaper over that. Like 3 days before the election, I called out some things that were going on in the Montgomery GOP.
Yeah.
It was basically the field rep for the Youngkin campaign, Jake Petzold, was a big fan of Sherry Blevins, who I beat in the primary, and he held a grudge ever since I won. He was just fuming about it.
Yeah.
So all these people kept contacting my campaign. They couldn't get my signs from that district office. They kept going by there. He never had Marie signs. We'd give him signs. We think he was throwing the signs away. We don't know what he was doing with them.
Yeah.
But finally, we sent a friend of ours that was a secret shopper to find out, and he would badmouth me to the person.
Wow.
He was like, oh, no, we're not supporting her. He was like he was acting on behalf of Youngkin's campaign. So the Floyd County GOP party sent a letter to Youngkin's campaign saying, you know, you have this guy that's gone rogue, you know, can you please deal with it? And they ignored it. They didn't want any waves, I'm sure. But Nick took sides with Jake. Nick ended up, you know, I called the whole thing out at a Montgomery GOP meeting. I talked about the letter that the Floyd GOP had written on behalf of my campaign, and to get the Montgomery County GOP to deal with it, it was a mess. I mean, but the good news is there's going to be new leadership in the Montgomery GOP. We've signed up 60 new members to the Montgomery Party. And, you know, this kind of old guard that has been, you know, controlling things around here, we've got new blood.
We would like to see that all over the New River Valley.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going on in Pulaski, too. Pulaski just signed up 60 new people, too.
It needs to happen in Giles.
Yeah. I don't know much about Giles, but I have a feeling Giles has the same problems.
Yeah.
Yep. I know some of the players over there, and there's big issues. One of those players was very instrumental in helping Jake to not give out my signs, and they've just been doing it for so long. They feel like I haven't put in my time. I haven't earned, you have to be this puppet that's been groomed, and I'm not that.
And you help support Amanda Chase.
Oh yeah.
And that puts you as a target to not support because
she's anti-establishment.
Yeah.
I am totally anti-establishment.
Yeah.
And the more I see of the establishment, the more I'm anti-establishment because it's not serving the people.
Correct.
So, I had a lot of my friends when I ended up getting videoed making this speech to the Montgomery GOP, and that video got released, and I ended up getting a call from the Roanoke Times, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is 2 days before the election. What am I doing? But I basically got a standing ovation that night. I mean, once I said it, it was the elephant in the room, and everyone already knew it was going on. And, this one clique ran out the door after the meeting, and then the whole room lined up to hug me, pat me on the back, tell me they're proud of me for standing up. And I did it right before the election. I'm sure it cost me votes, but I'm not, I'm in this to be very honest and to try to affect change.
We need less government and more of the people's voice. I think that's exactly what you provide. I'm excited to continue to have you on. Let's just maybe do every 60 days.
I'm cool. I love it.
Yeah.
You helped me get the word out too. Like I wanted to talk about these bills, but it just would have been me, filming myself in a selfie.
Right.
I would much rather come on here and tell you what we're up to and what we're working on. I've got a really cool lady that's my legislative aide. Did I already tell you guys this?
No, I don't think so.
She came from, her and her husband ran. Her husband was the campaign manager for Ron Paul's presidential campaign.
Nice.
And they helped Rand Paul for years and years. So they come from politics. They know the system. They know how to raise money. They know
the numbers game.
Game. Yeah, they know all of this. So I've got some serious, firepower on my team. And they know a lot of the players. So some of the groups that have lined up behind me are very pro-liberty. And John and Beth Tate, know all these folks, whether it's, Young Americans for Liberty is behind me, Club for Growth is behind me. The same people that run the Freedom Caucus in Congress are behind me. Matter of fact, we're starting a House Freedom Caucus at the state level across the whole country. It's going on right now. They're having their first introductory meeting to talk about it publicly. Jim Jordan is the main speaker in Atlanta on December, is that the 14th or the 15th? So that's happening this month. And they invited me to come down, be a guest speaker, because we're heading it up here in Virginia.
Nice.
So I'm the pro-liberty candidate. We're going to pull together, I think there's 6 or 7 of us that are endorsed by those groups, and we're going to be kind of the Freedom Caucus for the House of Delegates.
That's awesome.
So we'll have a voting block.
Can I give you some advice to end the show?
Sure.
All right. So, I think you need to be everywhere. You're not. I don't think you're active on Twitter. You're not active.
I don't know how to do any of it.
You need to get help.
Who can help me?
Somebody can help you.
Okay.
Somebody, but you need to be what they call omnipresent. You need to be everywhere.
If I can get help, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I just don't know who to get to help me.
There's got to be a social media manager out there that would love to just have a resume build on your brand.
Communications.
You getting these opportunities to spread the word of the New River Valley throughout the country if the opportunity comes.
I agree.
You having some outlet into, Fox News or, whatever the hot news company is at the moment, that's independent and putting out good stuff.
And they even interviewed me for that big meeting in Atlanta. And I think I cut a commercial over Zoom, and the guy was just like, "You're hilarious." He's like, you don't mind talking. And I'm like, I don't really have a problem talking.
Yeah.
So, I think
putting you on stage in front of, a million people watching, I think that's a good thing. I think
good for the Republican Party,
and it's good for the New River Valley. It's good that what you're showing people isn't just an effective change in our daily lives, but they're saying, oh, well, this lady's from here and she did that. So whatever your ambition is, maybe you are a couple of terms and out and back to your life, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe this is something that you find passion in, that you can actually be something special.
I love the fight. I really do.
Yeah.
Like the fight. Some people, a fight wears them down and it makes them feel bad. It energizes me.
Right.
The minute when my husband got fired, I'm like,
you're ready to go.
Fabulous. Like, we're buying a building and we're going to make the best independent practice in the New River Valley.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's just an inspiration. Like, your path can inspire and lead to other great things here in the community.
And we've got to inspire citizens to get involved and run for all these offices.
And you got to be everywhere. So wherever these people are paying attention, they see you. Yeah. They can't miss something, they can't miss something because you're not on this platform.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be doing the video anyway. You shouldn't just put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
You should repurpose that everywhere you can. So you really need to find somebody, and they're out there. And, maybe if they stumble across this video, just kind of like the healthcare people, like, you need help.
Yeah.
You need help being everywhere. Your voice needs to be amplified, and go get that done. I mean,
I've got to. You're totally right.
Yeah.
I already know it's a weakness in our campaign, and I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure where to turn. So, and that's not Beth and John's forte.
Yeah.
So we've just got to find the people and figure out how to pay them.
And that's the kicker too, right? So, that's going to be a paid for service. Mm-hmm. But if your brand continues to grow and you're actually able to, get these speaking fees, you can charge a speaking fee, if you're going around doing this stuff, eventually they're going to be coming to you and saying, all right, we'll pay you this to do that.
You know what's so funny? I hate public speaking.
Yeah.
This is what's so hilarious. I don't gravitate towards it. I don't look forward to it. But I like writing speeches because it gives me a chance to start telling some of the stories and the reasons that I think the way I do.
Yeah.
So I like to be a storyteller, and I've gotten comfortable. I don't get nervous. I can get up there. But it's just like today, we got you a little gift. I walked into Hobby Lobby, and and there's people that I knew recognized me because they're like smiling and like waving and giving me the thumbs up. But it makes me embarrassed. I'm like, I really, believe it or not, I don't like the spotlight. I don't mind talking. I don't mind representing. I don't mind fighting.
But you don't want the fame of it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, to me, it's not enjoyable. It's like, I'm like, Jared, can we go grocery shop in Roanoke so we hardly don't see people we know? Because we can't even get out. If we go to Food Line in Floyd, it's like a 3.5 hour, a line starts forming and people are like,
oh man,
we're so happy. And we were just in the Floyd Christmas parade. And thousands of people, they were cheering when we went past. They were so excited to get one of their own in there, They're like, give them hell.
That's the plan.
And I had on a Santa Claus hat, and they're like, where's your cowboy hat?
That's hilarious.
It was so funny. But we got you guys just a little something on the way here, and it's not homemade. I wish it were. I haven't had time.
Let's see what this is.
But it jumped out at me.
Not politically correct, just correct. I like it. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, every 60 days we'll have you back. I got some future plans. We've talked about partnering in certain ways. So I want to continue that conversation and, maybe spin you off. Like I said, you got to be omnipresent. That's a YouTube channel.
If you all want to do this,
that's what I'm saying.
And charge me a fee, like I'm looking for people to do this right now. Yeah. So I'm all in.
Well,
and Scott, you make me comfortable. For some reason, my parents saw the video with you, and they're like, "That guy is really cool." Like, Marie, you were yourself, and I'm like, "Well, he's easy to talk to. That's why you're doing this. Right. Is you make people feel comfortable. You're not hitting them with something out of left field. And as a politician, that's embarrassing when you get caught off guard with something that you don't really know how to respond to. It's humiliating.
Right.
So
I hope to never do that.
You don't. You make everyone feel comfortable. I've watched many of your segments, and everybo's very comfortable.
Well, I appreciate your support, and I look forward to having you back after you're sworn in, and you got some time under your belt here and trying to get these things accomplished. And just really grateful for our relationship. Thank
Anytime.
You very much.
I enjoy coming here, so I really appreciate you guys more than you even know.
Right on.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's the show today. Episode 18, Marie March. Guys, we got to get some attention here. Share this with your mom. Like, we need 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Go over to YouTube, subscribe, help us out there, and we appreciate all the support you guys give us with your attention. Thanks a lot.
And reach out if you need to get in touch with me. If you're in this district, my cell phone is where everything goes, and I give out my cell phone number. It's 540-230-7582.
Boom.
So just let me know, reach out, and I'll help you out with any of your political issues.
Very good. All right. Till next time. Oh, hey, Lesson, before you cut, we got Reggie Grubb coming next week. We're excited about that. Really, really good show coming next week, so tune in for that.